Welcome one, welcome all. This is Evangelist Tichivaga the second on our relationship corner. Today we are just giving a small relationship top to our couples and to all those who are in relationships that need to be managed by communication. We're just bringing you a tip on communication today. We are looking at a simple thing that called complexes when we are communicating. These are the things that we must get to know of the spouse. Each one of us must be aware of these things called complexes. Sometimes this topic, this issue is philosophical. It needs us really to go deep into the psyche of a human being, and then we decide to learn about it. But I'm hoping that this small tip will also help us as we are communicating. What is a complex? A complex is an archetype or any archetypal image that is actually embedded in our subconscious that are coming from our history. Remember, as we are history creatures, we have a history that we have lived. So there is something that we have seen or that we have experienced that are embedded in our subconscious that we don't feel or that we don't even know, but they are there and they are autonomous and they have their own life to live. These are what are called complexes. So what happens now, the most important complex of all is what we call the father and the mother complex. Why the father and the mother complex? Because they are the ones that raised us and they are the ones that taught us what is life and how to live our lives. So they become the major ones inside of ourselves, even if we might not be aware of it. So these complexes are quite tricky. They are quite important. So what happens now? Let me give you a very outrage example. Let's say one of these days back in future, you were very young and there were people who banged your door and they went inside, they stole goods, they then had to blindfold each one and every one of you, and then they went out. So those things are there in your mind. Let's say you went through some horrific instances and there were rape in your family. Probably it was you or probably somebody, a member of family. It is there embedded in your family. So what happens now? These complexes, they need something which is similar to that instant that happens in the past for them to now come out in our present situation. In other words, when we are living our present now, we are living our present in our history. When we are communicating today, we are communicating present, but we are communicating history. What we are doing now, we don't know that we have been overtaken. Our complexes is moved from being in the subconscious to this conscious. We are now being controlled by them. Now, what happens is, how do we see that complexes have overtaken us? Especially on a situation that you see that the reaction has been exaggerated or there's an overreaction, then you see that this person, for example, we are talking of just breaking a cup. Maybe somebody, why did you break this cup? Hey, this cup, do you think you are the one buying cups in this other house? I used to, so you mean by me breaking this cup, it means, you see, so you weigh the conversation, you weigh the hype, you weigh the anger, you see that, can this anger just be the same? Does it match really this simple question of breaking the cup? How am I not supposed to break the cups here? Don't you make mistakes also? Are you so holy that you don't even break cups inside the house? Then you say, come on, man. This thing has been over. It's an overreaction. An overreaction is caused by complexes. Let's say back in future there, maybe your mother, maybe your father, your spouse mother, your spouse father, they broke a cup. And then they were beaten up by the husband. Beaten up by the husband. So you saw your mother crying down there when you're very young. So when the same event of breaking a cup or similar event, then you blow out of proportion, your nervous system has been triggered to bring out things that then your communication now is hampered because you are now communicating with your spouse in the present, but you are in the past. Now it's very important for us to look at that. There was an example one day which was being used when a couple went for counseling. And the reason why they went for counseling is that the husband was complaining that the wife was not treating her very well. Then a question was posed to the wife. And then it was said to the wife, Mommy, what are the things that your mother or father, as they were living or as you were still with them, what were they doing that you did not like? So the wife said, back then, I didn't like the way my mother was addressing my father. It hits me the way she was snagging, the way she was snapping at him. Totally disrespect. I didn't like it. But guess what? The issue that they were facing here was simple. The husband was complaining that he is not happy with the way the wife is treating him. So the wife did not like what her mother was doing then. But subconsciously, it is the same things that she was doing presently to the husband. So her past was living in her. Even if she didn't like it then, but the way she reacted to what was happening and the way she was doing it, she had to take it out now to the husband. She had to, you see, when the complexes are triggered, they end up now being taken out to the next person. So what should we do? Tip a relation tip. Understand that complexes are there. Understand that we are creatures of history. Understand that when they are triggered, we overreact or we get in a mode that does not suit the kind of discussion that are there. Once you get to that level, understand that something from my past is triggered. Now, what is important, if you bring them to your conscious, then we begin to reason, we begin to talk, we begin to now start to correct and really find a way forward. If we are not aware of it, we suffer from what we call repetitions. Why repetitions? When that complex is triggered, you snap, you shout, say, I'm sorry, I didn't like to do that, I don't know what happened. Then later on, the same instant which activate your complex comes, you snap, you shout, you say, I'm sorry, I will not repeat it again. You say, I'm sorry, I will not repeat. You keep on repeating it because it is embedded within you. It is within you. So, acknowledge that these things happens. And mostly what is important to couples is very, very, very profound. Don't point a finger to your other in what is happening in your family. Point your finger to you. As you begin to look at yourself and you begin to grow, because we must outgrow those things. When we outgrow those things, we begin also to take off the burdens from our partner. Because normally, because of complexes or also what we call shadows, we are burdening our other half. We want to remove their past from us. We don't want to remove them ourselves. I think it's a bit philosophical, a bit complicated, but I think you have just got one or two tips. We will continue with it next time when we look at the concept of the shadow. May God bless us as we understand that we are creatures of history and history is with us. And if we don't want to look into ourselves and always blame our partners, we blame our partner that you've made me afraid. Why didn't you come straight? And you and now you have got things in you that almost make you afraid because you are just like that. Thank you so much for listening. God bless us. Amen.